to thee. This is GC Magee, and welcome to my channel. This is a very last minute stream. I wasn't actually going to do this live, but it seemed to be the easiest way of just getting it, the one and done, and then I can do loads of edits further down the line. Originally, we were going to be doing this with a couple of friends of mine that were also going to be doing some predictions, but today it's just going to be 9 of my Nintendo Direct predictions, things that I hope we'll see. And some of the things will be things that I just think we will see, but they're not necessarily like top of my list either. So we're going to be flying through this. It's going to be quite a short video. We're going to go through 9 predictions for tomorrow, and I just wanted to get this out of the way, really. So that we can focus on what we actually get revealed tomorrow. So let's get started without further ado. So, first thing on my list, and I have to say, I am blooming excited to have this. I don't think we've had a direct since September last year. Yeah, it's been an incredibly long time. So, super excited, and I don't know, I feel like I've got some really interesting ideas, or things to throw out there at least, and a couple of other bits that probably might seem quite predictable. So let's see what is first on my list. And unfortunately, I must apologise that it's going to be a little bit less interactive than usual, in that we don't have Phil and my friend Rob that we were going to be talking to bounce off of. But here we go. So let's see what we have got. Right, so my first Nintendo Direct prediction is going to be a DLC for Mario Kart World. So Mario Kart World came out a little while ago now, so I think it was back in March with the launch of the console. I think that's when it came out. And hello, thanks for tuning in. And in the chat, guys, if you get any ideas, things that you were really hoping to see tomorrow, please let me know, because I'd love to hear from you guys. It'd be amazing. It just helps to build up the hype, doesn't it? So anyway, now I think we're finally going to get some Mario Kart World DLC. I think the game needs a little bit of love, and it needs that sense of longevity, because let's face it, Mario Kart 8 was riddled with content. So let's see what we got. So I think the Mario Kart World DLC is going to be split into phases, just to sort of drip feed. Phase 1 is none other than going to be focused on Donkey Kong Bonanza. So at the moment in the game, we've got one skin for Donkey Kong and one skin for Pauline. I think maybe 2 skins, maybe it's 2. I think it's the main one and then one alternate. And it just feels so obviously kind of intentional that they just don't have much content for those particular characters. And so I'm thinking, we could get loads of Donkey Kong love, we could get loads of Pauline love. There's all the different sort of Kong Bonanza transformations. So we could get like the zebra and the gorilla. We could get Diddy Kong and lots of other Kongs. So we could have Dixie Kong as well, perhaps. We could also get some of the villains. We could get King K. Rool make a return. We can also get loads of the Bonanza exclusive heroes as well. I will be checking the chat regularly too, guys. So yeah, any cool things that you're hoping to see tomorrow, let me know. Right, so I think that's going to be phase 1. I think the phases are going to be, probably a few months apart. This is going to be really kind of drip fed. But what I think they're going to do is they're either going to focus on franchises that either haven't had much love recently or don't sort of warrant having their own racing game, or franchises that are kind of tied to exclusive Nintendo Switch 2 games. So phase 2, Star Fox. So we know we've got Star Fox coming out this month. It's a recreation essentially of the original game that has been released 4 times now. And this is a really great opportunity for us to, rather than having a racing game that's related to Star Fox, or perhaps even just a game tied to Star Fox specifically, this is our chance to have, Star Fox and his squad as racers in really unique karts as well. We could have Fox, Falco, Peppy, Slippy, but we could also have some of the rival gangs as well. We could have their villains, so we could have Andros, we could have Wolf and his gang, but there's lots of potential there, and I just think we're really unlikely to see a Star Fox racing game in the future, but this could be a really great way of tying in loads of different franchises and bringing everything together. especially considering that that's happened with the film recently. Phase 3, I think, could be Splatoon focused, simply because we've got Splatoon Raiders coming out in the future. We had the Splatoon Inklings in Mario Kart 8, and I think it could lead to some really cool maps. We could have maps, across Kong Island. We could have Corneria, and then for Splatoon, we've got lots of different possibilities, and it could be a really great way, again, of celebrating some of the new characters that we are going to see in Raiders. It also gives us time to familiarize ourselves with new characters, and then hopefully, be in a position where we could be really excited about racing as these particular characters, etc. So Splatoon, and then Phase 4, I'm F-Zero. Essentially, I'm thinking, what if we never get an F-Zero racing game again, or not for a long time? We've had Kirby Air Riders, we've got Mario Kart World, and so I think it would be really nice to have some F-Zero representation. We could have Captain Falcon, we could have loads of other races from that particular game, and the cars kind of just lend themselves to, the game. We've had maps like Big Blue as well in Mario Kart 8 in the past, and I just think a lot of just the nature of F-Zero might really lend itself to Mario Kart. And given the fact we had this seamless overworld in Mario Kart World, it would make sense for us to go to kind of smaller worlds or sort of different dimensions, different. We could have like a kind of multiverse approach to Mario Kart World, essentially. And I do wonder if that's why all of the characters in Mario Kart World to date are specifically from that kind of Mario world, as opposed to them having Link and having Inklings, etc. So yeah, that's what my thinking. I think we're finally going to get some announcements about Mario Kart World DLC, and it wouldn't even surprise me if Phase 1 was a shadow drop. And but I'm really confident about that one in particular. I think Bonanza's coming. So here we go. The second prediction is also the second but last DLC related prediction, and I think a lot of people are anticipating this. I think it's going to be the only Pokemon announcement we get in the Direct, and we're going to get some Pokopia DLC news. So, what's that going to look like? I think there's quite a few biomes that were really heavily underrated. Well, they weren't in the game, so I think we're going to see a lot of kind of ice Pokemon, and we're going to have a snowy tundra. It could be that we have sort of an underwater biome, and we're able to explore lots of different Pokemon in that way. Or it could be that we just explore kind of some more spooky places. That Lavender Town, for instance, could be explored in greater depth. We could go to Johto, for instance, and build upon that kind of Kanto experience we've had previously. But I think that at the moment we've got a real lack of ice and ghost Pokemon in Pokopia. The game's been really popular, it's sold amazingly well, and I don't know, I feel like it could be really likely that we get some Pokopia DLC, because let's face it, they could make a lot of money, extra money out of us by making this move. So, next up, we have got dun 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 Switch 2 Sports, or Nintendo Switch Sports Switch 2 Edition. I feel like this is coming. I think of all the games that could have a Switch 2 Edition, I don't think there's going to be many more, but this is one of 2 Switch 2 editions I think are still coming our way, and I think they're still in a position where they want to support Switch 1, and they could very easily, instead of building a game from the ground up, they could add a couple of sports that are tied specifically to the Switch 2 edition whilst upgrading the Switch 1 game. So, what I am thinking is we are going to get a couple of games added, and they're going to heavily be reliant on the mouse controls. We haven't had many games that have really done that to date. And so I feel like air hockey would work incredibly well in this. At least I think I'd really enjoy air hockey. But we could have an air hockey game whereby you're using sort of the mouse controls. You could even be using both mouse controls or working in a sort of team environment. But that would work really well, I think, in Switch 2. I don't think it would be as demanding to to create compared to some of the other sports we already have. And lastly, I think pool in some sort of way could work with mouse controls, especially if you're using two different mice. Um, and yeah, I'd just be interested to see how they could explore that. I think it's likely we'll have mouse control games that are, coming to sports, but what sports they might be, I'm not too sure. I just feel like air hockey really does feel like, you know, it makes sense to have air hockey, in my opinion. So, next up, as I said before, if Phil and Rob were here and we had enough time to do a proper predictions video, this would be there'd be a lot more back and forth, lots more chatter, etc. But unfortunately, well, I was at a wedding today, so it was really hard to. We didn't get time to record stuff. They announced that it's officially happening tomorrow, just a little bit earlier, and there just wasn't enough time. So this is my way of quickly just bashing out some predictions. I'll make a few shorts, and yeah, I'm just interested to see what other people think and to build some hype up. So here we go. Next up, the second and last Switch 2 edition that I can see us getting on the Nintendo Switch 2 is my favourite game on the system, and it's Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I think there's a lot of debate over what could they possibly add, how could they make this game any better. And if I'm honest, I don't think they can add too much to make it better, because it's already the quintessential Smash experience. But what I think they're going to add is essentially it's going to work like a Final Fighter pass. I think there'll be like a frame rate boost, a resolution boost, a performance boost, especially with supporting multiplayer. But I think we're going to see a variety of different things added to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Nintendo Switch 2 edition. This is going to give Nintendo some time to focus on the next Smash game before having to rush to make an announcement. We know that Sakurai was working on Kirby Air Riders, and so actually I really don't think we're going to hear anything about a new Smash just yet. But Switch 2 edition, I think, is on the cards. So I think we're going to get 4 new fighters, just like some of the battle passes that we've had previously. And I think we are finally going to get Waluigi in Super Smash Bros. Waluigi is a much anticipated character, and to be honest, I feel like Waluigi alone would sell this to people. The internet would just explode. Luigi's just really sought after. I think Chibi Robo could be a really interesting fighter in this game. And also, I mean, we've just had Chibi Robo on GameCube, and I feel like it might be a little bit of a revival, so that could be a really sweet one. I think Conker would be a fantastic fighter. We've had Banjo and Kazooie, and I feel like if they're in the game, anything's possible. And Conker could be a really comical, fun sort of throwback, sort of a blast to the past, and blast from the past rather, and could be a really good fighter. And last but not least, a fighter I would love to see in the game, and that would celebrate sort of Nintendo at its core, is Paper Mario. So really distinctive art style, but I think Paper Mario could have really cool moves. Could have like a up B kind of paper aeroplane flight move, for instance. But there's just so many possibilities. The hammer would come out with a side beam move, I think. I think it's unlikely we'd get loads of maps, but a couple of maps. One of them could be Rogueport, so a location that is from Paper Mario because it's so stylistically iconic. And then I think Chibi Robo, it would be really cool to have a level that was based in the Sandersons' house. So this could be, I just think a level where you are miniature in a household. It could, it very easily could be a lot of fun to be had there. And I think we will see a new game mode. I don't think it will be anything crazy or revolutionary, but I think it will be a really great way for people to kind of hone in on what they need to collect in order to fully complete the game. So I think there'll be some sort of way of combining sort of event matches and hunting for trophies, and there'll be a way of really kind of just honing in on that 100% completion, because I think that will revitalize the game and give people sort of new things to really hunt down. Right. That was the last of my Switch 2 edition predictions. Hey, Kelvin. Thanks for saying hi. And thanks for tuning in. Calvin, if you've got any predictions yourself, things you're really hoping to see tomorrow, please let me know, because I'm dying to hear it, and I cannot wait for 3 p.m. tomorrow. So next up, a 5th prediction out of 9. I think we are finally going to get the Ocarina of Time remake. It's been heavily rumored for a very long time, and I think it's coming. I think it is coming. I have to be honest. I don't necessarily feel like I don't feel a desperate need for this. I've played Ocarina of Time to death. I've played it sort of on multiple different systems. It's a fantastic game. It's really good for younger generations, I think, if they were to be reintroduced to this old classic. But yeah, I think it's happening. I would rather they put their energy elsewhere, but I think it's happening, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was announced tomorrow, simply because it's been a while since we've had a Legend of Zelda game. I'm not sure if we're ready for the next big chapter for Zelda, but I think they're going to want to really hone in on the popularity of the past before launching into the next big thing. Simply because I think they're going to want to tread really carefully when it comes to announcing what the hell could come after Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. They've been so popular and so iconic that it's going to be really risky, and they're going to want to make sure that they get that completely right. The other reason I think we'll get Ocarina of Time announced tomorrow is because there's another big game at the end of this list that I don't think a new Zelda game would want to interfere with. So, yeah, that's my thinking at least. Hello, Kelvin. Look at all your lovely energy in the chat. Wonderful to see. Right. And, right, here we go. So, that's a short and sweet one, but I think Ocarina of Time is coming. Next up, Earthbound Trilogy. So I didn't create this artwork here. It's just a concept created by someone else online. So for those that don't know, there is a trilogy of games called Earthbound in Europe and Mother if you're from America. And I believe it's also called Mother in Japan too. And essentially it's a really popular trilogy of games. It's where you get Ness and Lucas. So they're both two really iconic characters from the Super Smash Bros. Series. And I think we're getting to a point now where a lot of people haven't experienced these games, don't know what they're talking about, and they need to know the roots. They need to sort of be familiarized with this fantastic selection of games, and then hopefully that kind of will be a blast of nostalgia and will pave the way for new games in the future. So I think we're likely to see some sort of re-release of the Earthbound trilogy, but I think it's either going to be a faithful remake so that people can just really experience what they've missed out on, or there's going to be some sort of 2.5D sort of revitalization, rebirth of of maybe the original Earthbound, maybe not all three, but the original Earthbound. And I think it would be a really great way of showcasing what the console is capable of, introducing people to the franchise, but also I don't think it would be too much of a technologically demanding game, so it could very easily release on Switch and Switch 2 and give us something to look forward to on both platforms. So there we go. That is Earthbound. Right, so my 7th prediction is going to be Pikmin versus Pikmin. So, probably thinking, what are you doing with my Pikmin? That's a bit of a weird one. So, what I'm thinking with this is that we don't really have an RTS or a real-time strategy game, well, Nintendo game, and I think the Nintendo IP that would lend itself best to this would be Pikmin. I also think it's quite technologically demanding to have so many Pikmin. on a screen, and this is the time for it. I think the Switch 2 is powerful enough for multiple players to have their own kind of armies of Pikmin, and that we could have a really cool real-time strategy battle, like a PvP battle, in like some sort of arena. I also feel like it's the right time for this, in that we've got Pikmin 1, 2, 3, and 4, and this is a really interesting way of kind of giving a new life to Pikmin and giving people something new and different, whilst also kind of giving them something a little bit more of something they already love. So just like with Splatoon, we've got Splatoon Raiders, this single player experience that comes out in July, and I just think that it's a fantastic way of bringing new players in, exploring something they love in a new context, and I think this would be a really good way of doing that with Pikmin. And obviously, Pikmin versus Pikmin also translates to PvP. I just think it could be a really cool concept, or maybe like a Pikmin Royale where it's a growth game and you're trying to make sure that you're the biggest and best and most powerful. But I just feel a real-time strategy game would work really well on the Switch 2. And it could be really fun to control an army of Pikmin and take on other sort of armies, or beat someone to the race of well, maybe, yeah, there could be all sorts of objectives, but I think it could be a really fun competitive opportunity. So Pikmin versus Pikmin is a really outlandish prediction, but it's something I'd love to see. I think it'd be a really cool thing to do with Pikmin moving forward. So, two more. As I said before, if my buddies were around to do the prediction video too, it would be a much longer conversation. Probably not as exciting just listening to me, but I wanted to get these predictions out there, make some shorts, build some hype up, all that jazz, and maybe we'll do like a reaction video, or some conversations about what we find out tomorrow. So, next prediction, number 8, is Kid Icarus Uprisen. Okay, so some people will be familiar with Kid Icarus as a franchise. So I think we could see a remake or remaster or sort of rebuild, essentially, of Kid Icarus. We had Kid Icarus Uprising in the past, but I think if we had, it could be called Uprisen, but my thinking is that it's been a while since we've had a Kid Icarus game. We've got Pit, and Pit's really popular in Super Smash Bros. We've also got the mouse controls, and I just think the mouse controls would lend themselves really well to the kind of the rail shooter sort of system that the Kid Icarus games sort of famously operate on. So I think, mouse controls, Kid Icarus looking as best as it could on the Switch 2, and it being kind of a recreation of an old classic as opposed to a new game. I just think it's time that it's time that Pit got some love, and we need more games utilising the mouse controls, because at the moment it feels like this gimmick that is cool but really underutilized. So Kid Icarus Uprisen is my 8th prediction. Right, and last but not least, we have got the biggest. I think it's incredibly likely tomorrow for us to finally get our next 3D Mario announcement. Odyssey came out so many years ago now. I think it's time. I think we're in a position where we haven't got many Switch 2 exclusive titles coming up. We've actually, a lot of people would argue that we've had Mario Kart World, we've had Bonanza, and that's it. And they're waiting for a reason to buy the Switch 2. And I think this is going to be the reason. I think there's going to be an announcement. I think it's going to come out in March next year in celebration of Mario Day. And I think we are finally going to hear about the next Mario mainline game. And this will directly influence the film, the next film in the trilogy. I think we're going to get Super Mario Multiverse. So when I think, how can we make Mario bigger and better than ever before? Super Mario Multiverse would be a really great opportunity to capitalize on all the different franchises within Nintendo's kind of world that it has created. I'm thinking we're going to have Mario, of course, but Mario's going to be able to visit all of these worlds that would so easily make sense based on sort of Mario's ability to bounce between different dimensions, different worlds, etc. So we could, if we didn't have Kid Icarus, or perhaps we did as well as this, but could be a really good opportunity to sort of come across characters like Pit. Captain Olimar obviously flies a spaceship, and the Pikmin live in space or on different planets too. Also featured in the film, so that would make sense. Kirby also flies around on a warp star through space, and it would make a lot of sense if Mario could stumble upon Kirby at some point, and for their worlds to kind of combine. We've also had lots of Kirby games in recent years, and it could be that rather than having the next single player Kirby experience, that actually Kirby features within a Mario game. I like to think it could be like the sort of Nintendo equivalent to Kingdom Hearts, and Mario is going to be sort of visiting all these different familiar worlds. Would be really good for building on the cinematic sort of universe for Nintendo, but also just a really good way of celebrating these different franchises without having to build, new games from the ground up for each of them all the time. Captain Falcon is also, a pilot, space pilot, and why not? Ness has psychic abilities, so there could definitely be a really good opportunity there for sort of Mario to come across Ness, rather than them having to, rebuild Earthbound from the ground up. Star Fox featured in the Galaxy film recently, so why wouldn't Mario come across Star Fox again at some point too? And Samus again is, a bounty hunter that works in space. So again, there's just so many Nintendo characters, iconic Nintendo characters that spend a lot of time in space or on different planets or in different worlds, and it would make a lot of sense for Mario to dip into these different worlds, dip into sort of different abilities, develop different abilities. But I just think it could really lead to a very varied and exciting single player experience, and it could very easily feel like a much grander, bigger experience. And I just think if we're going to get a game like that, I was hopeful we'd get this sort of free roam, No Man's Sky, Star Fox game, but I think it's more realistic that we're going to get a Mario game that's huge and that kind of dips into all these different worlds. So yeah, Super Mario Multiverse. And just like that, that is my 9 predictions for tomorrow. I'm really excited to find out what we're going to see next, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what everyone else has got to say about that too. So please, if you've got any predictions or you've got any thoughts with regards to these are the 9 predictions I came up with. So if you've got any thoughts with regards to these, let me know. But as I said before, really wanted to just get these out there, have a think, get excited about tomorrow, and bounce some ideas off of people. And hopefully next time we'll get more of a chance to kind of reflect on some of our predictions with some friends on the channel. But with me at a wedding today, I just needed to just get something like this out really quick and see what we could share. So there we go. This is probably the shortest stream I have ever done, but I think, with a direct tomorrow, it had to be done. It had to be done. And I'm just hopeful that some of these bingo card bits and bobs are going to appear tomorrow. Some really big ideas here, but really cool ideas nonetheless. So yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic time tomorrow and that you love the direct. And I really look forward to talking about what's revealed tomorrow on this channel too. So cheers for tuning in. Have a lovely evening, and GC McGee.